Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about that upcoming major snowstorm once more. Today, we're actually going to be presenting our official first snowfall forecast for this one at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. And I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting store in the description and the pinned comment down below, and also our very awesome Patreon page in the same location. Anyways, for today's comment of the day, I have a little bit of a complicated one. How much snowfall individually do you think that Philadelphia will get, New York City will get, and Boston will get? Give me the amounts for all three separated down below, and I'll be picking the most realistic one, the one that I think is going to be the most correct for tomorrow's video. Now let's get right into things, and we're starting out with our simulated radar here according to our European model. And this is going to be by maybe about 11 a.m. here on Wednesday. So that's starting out tomorrow morning. So we're very close to the beginning of this storm. And I'm maybe going to be updating this, obviously, tomorrow morning as well. So there will be a final update for that. We have some snowfall starting out for Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, also West Virginia and Virginia, with some significant ice going on for North Carolina, Virginia. That's going to definitely be a factor as well. As we move towards 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. that night, Wednesday, we can see that snow gets a lot more heavy. We see moderate to heavy snowfall for Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia there, even Maryland. I want to draw your attention to something, though. We have that yellow and pink region there where we have a lot of mixing issues. Look at that low pressure center. It's located maybe over just north of Williamsburg, Virginia, I would say. It's very far inland, and that's going to create a lot of mixing issues for a lot of regions. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on where we're going to see that on the map very evidently, starting out at about maybe, I would say, 10 p.m. on Wednesday in just a moment. Now here we are by about 10 p.m. like I said. And look at all those yellows and pinks. That's kind of made its way to where it's looking like south central Pennsylvania and southeastern Pennsylvania are going to be heavily impacted by that sleet mixing in, potentially rain as well. Unfortunately for some of you snow lovers who obviously just wanted straight up snow, also for just people that have to drive around, I think the sleet and the ice on top of snow is a lot worse than just snow. I think everybody can agree on that. Look at the low pressure center. It's located kind of in between Maryland and the Delmarva there. I guess the kind of mainland area of Maryland and then the Delmarva. And that's going to bring some potential impacts to the snowfall totals. And as we move towards maybe about 3 a.m. here, you can see that the low pressure center is located over southern New Jersey. A lot of that mixing is coming to an end, but that is still just a significant factor. We still have that going on north of D.C. for Maryland and southeastern and south central Pennsylvania potentially. Very heavy snowfall to the north of there, though. Whoever is just to the north of where the sleet is mixing in is going to be the bullseye. If you don't get sleet, but you're still in that very heaviest precipitation, you are certainly in the bullseye, and it's going to be very complicated trying to figure out where that rain snow line sets up, and it's going to be very, very tight, as you will see at the end of the video on my snowfall forecast. The difference between 1 to 3 inches to 20 to 30 inches is a matter of maybe 50 miles. So we're going to see that at the end. It's very complicated. What we're going to do here is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the final frames from our European model. We're going to move on, take a look at what the GFS model looks like, and that Canadian model, and the NAM model, and the Arjun model. And then we're going to get into the modeled snowfall guidance, and then finally my snowfall forecast, all coming up at the end of this video. Now, I would also, once again, I've done this in the past 2 videos, like to shout out our very exciting Facebook group. We actually increased by over 500 members yesterday. You guys were absolutely just joining like crazy, and it was awesome. It's like a party in there, and it's getting more and more active. I would love for you to be a part of that. We discuss the weather models as they come out. People are already building friendships, including with myself. I'm in there talking with you guys and just hanging out, watching the models come out, watching people's forecasts. If you like to make forecasts, you can share it there too. It's just an awesome place overall if you love weather. Let's go ahead and just finalize this European models kind of simulated radar. This is by maybe about 10 a.m. or so on Thursday. So you can see there's still moderate snowfall for eastern Pennsylvania, portions of New York, portions of New Jersey, and through Long Island. into even southern New England as well. This model is looking a little bit further north than it had in the past, which is good news for you folks up there in Massachusetts and other surrounding states. And then we finally close things out by kind of Thursday afternoon time frame. Let's just see what our GFS model has to say, and it has that low pressure center a little bit further south, a little bit further offshore, and it actually has a little bit less mixing issues for some of those regions that we were talking about just a moment ago. As you can see, by time we're reaching maybe about 1 a.m. on Thursday, really that low pressure center is already offshore of the Delmarva, and we're having limited mixing issues there for Maryland and Pennsylvania compared to the European model. Unfortunately, the European model is usually better, so we do have very heavy snowfall for similar regions. And then as you can see, by the time we reach about Thursday at about maybe 12 p.m. or maybe even 11 a.m. here, this one has kind of climbed back north a little bit. It originally was not showing a lot of snowfall for Boston or surrounding regions. It's starting to show a little bit more, and this could be signs of a more northern trend coming up from this model. So we'll have to wait and see. Here's that Canadian model, and as you can see, it does have those severe mixing issues there. For Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, even areas in New Jersey, as it has that low pressure center located in between Maryland and Delaware there. Very bad news for those snow lovers in southeastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia. Again, whoever gets that heavy snowfall that's north of those yellow and pinks, so I'm taking a look at central eastern Pennsylvania there. You guys look to be the bullseye at this point in through northern regions of New Jersey there. And then even as we can see later on, this is maybe about 7 a.m. on Thursday. This model is way further north than the rest. It has heavy snowfall going well up into Vermont, New Hampshire. Very, very interesting here. Finally, let's take a look at our NAM model. And as you can see, we have a lot of that mixing issues going on here as well for Maryland, Virginia, even Winchester, which the other models didn't even have it there. Again, south central Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, and portions of New Jersey getting plenty of mixing issues. And this model keeps the low pressure center way closer to New Jersey, Long Island, southern New England, and it has mixing issues with sleet for those coastal regions of New England even, which would be, even more areas seeing that mixing issue. And then finally, last but not least, my absolute favorite model of all time, the Arjun model. I think it is the best at handling situations like this. It does have that low pressure center. I guess this kind of looks just like the European model in my opinion. And it has that low pressure center by about this is probably about 10 p.m. on Wednesday here. It has it located over the Delmarva as well with those sleet issues for southeastern Pennsylvania and through portions of New Jersey, portions of Virginia, portions of Maryland. And then it does have that snowfall actually reaching pretty far north into New England, and it does not have those sleet issues for coastal New England like some of the other models had. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the snowfall guidance from all of these models. So we're going to take a look at what they think is going to happen, and then finally we're going to get into my official snowfall forecast for this one at the end of this video. Alright, and I'm fairly confident this is going to be my longest video of all time because we're only halfway through the frames here, so this is going to be a very long video. I hope it's thorough though because I am, presenting a lot of information here. I'm trying to go as fast as possible. Here's our European model first off, and I want to just inform you about the color table here. If you're in the grays, you're basically at a dusting if anything. If you're in those lighter blues, you're at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. If you're in the purples, you're at about 6 to 10. If you're in the pinks, you're at about 9 to 20 inches of snow. And if you're in those pastels and kind of those, it's kind of like teal colored, you're at about 20 to 30 inches of snow, maybe even more. This model has a maximum of 34 inches of snow, which is actually quite realistic, believe it or not, for this storm. As you can see, it keeps that heaviest amounts of snow for northeastern Pennsylvania, north central Pennsylvania. I think it's going to be a little bit further south than what this model is showing, but I think it's going to be a little bit further north than what some other models are showing as well. And you can see it extends actually into northern New Jersey as well. I do agree with that. It has Boston at about 11 inches of snow, so it definitely has you guys having a lot of snow here. Finally, here's our GFS model, and this one actually has quite a bit there for kind of east central Pennsylvania. I agree with this one a little bit more on the Pennsylvania area in through New Jersey. But on New England, I think it could be a little bit more than what this model is showing. We'll have to wait and see what my forecast says. Here's the Canadian model, and as you can see, this one's kind of the outlier. It has that band of very heavy snowfall going from central Pennsylvania, which I at least agree with that part, but then it has it going all the way through New York into western Massachusetts, into Vermont, New Hampshire, and even Maine. but we do have a model in agreement with it, and it's our NAM model, which is very, very interesting. It's gonna be crucial to see if this trend continues. I might have to update my forecast tomorrow. But this one has central Pennsylvania in through northeastern Pennsylvania into a lot of upstate New York, western Massachusetts, areas in Vermont and New Hampshire getting the most snowfall here. Even areas receiving 30 to 40 inches of snow within there. Very interesting. And then finally, here is our Arjun model. Again, my favorite. And this one is also pretty far north. We see that a lot of Pennsylvania there. Again, central and eastern, including northeastern Pennsylvania. But then it has it going into New York, into western Massachusetts again, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire as well. I think really that kind of eastern central Pennsylvania bullseye is a really good I think that's a really good call at this point, but I have it extending just directly east into northern New Jersey. I don't have it going way north into New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont. But maybe tomorrow I will be updating this. You know, there is half of those models showing the kind of that solution, and then the other half is, for the most part, showing more of the southern solution. So we will have to see which one's right. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're finally going to get into my official snowfall forecast, my first official snowfall forecast, because I think I'm going to be updating this tomorrow. So what we're going to do is move on and get right into that. Now, first things first, here is our dusting to 3-inch layer, and look at the top there. That's our new color table. I actually really love the new colors. I think the old ones were a little bit dull. I like brighter colors, and I think this one really just brightens up the whole thing. So if you're familiar with what our old color table looked like, let us know what you think of the new ones. Do you like the old one better or the new one? I definitely think I like the new one better. Anyway, here's our dusting to 3-inch layer, and pretty much all of our major regions are in this. Everywhere that is pretty much always expected to get this much is still expected to get this much at least, a dusting to 3 inches. Things start to get interesting as we get to the 3 to 6 inch layer, and this is when our color table actually looks different than our old one. Again, just a little bit brighter with the second one, but this is our 3 to 6 inch layer, and as you can see, this extends from mountainous areas of Virginia and West Virginia all the way up through pretty much the entirety of the state of Pennsylvania, most of Maryland. I think kind of the border of this 3 to 6 inch region cuts straight through DC and Baltimore as well there. And then that cuts straight through Wilmington, Delaware there, and in through portions of, I guess, the halfway mark of New Jersey there. Let's just go ahead and add our 6 to 10 inch region here. And this is, again, just a color that has changed a lot. It just pops better, I think. And this also includes a lot of areas there in mountainous West Virginia. That's an area where typically they just really, I guess they really exceed the expected snow amount, so I usually just put a little bit more there than even the models expect, because that really mountainous region there in West Virginia just typically does very, very well in events like this. And you can see that extends north, and this actually goes north of Baltimore and DC. If you're kind of in the northern outskirts of Baltimore, I think you are in that 6 inches plus region. But it's very, very close. Same story for Philadelphia. Again, I know this is really bad news and this is a northern shift, but I did tell you guys that that is very, very possible at this point. And look at how close those thresholds are. Look at how thin that band of light blue is. Let's go ahead and add our next layer, and this is our 10 to 15 inch layer. And as you can see, Philadelphia actually, unfortunately for you guys, is excluded from this in our first official snowfall forecast map. There has just been that trend at a lot of sleet, a lot of mixing going on for that area, and I actually think it could be worse than what the models are saying. I just have, with these early year systems, from my experience, I guess as a forecaster, there's a certain point where you have to break away from what the models are showing and use your experience for certain situations, and this is certainly one of them, where I know these early year situations can really just have mixing issues, especially with sleet, with the warmer air in kind of the middle regions of the atmosphere where that low pressure center comes very, very close to you guys. So unfortunately, I think a lot of your time where you would be in heavy snowfall could do some, you could be dealing with some mixing issues for sure. New York City is in this 10 to 15 inch region, and Boston, you're right on that 10 to 15 inch line there. You're right on the border. Providence is certainly in this. A lot of areas, a lot of other regions in Pennsylvania are in this as well. Let's just go ahead and add our next region, and this is our 15 to 20 inch region here in this brighter pink band. And this extends pretty much right from Winchester, Virginia, is right on that very, very southern edge of this 15 to 20 inch region. That cuts straight through the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, straight through that very, very thin band of Maryland, which is probably like 3 miles tall there. And then that extends straight into south central Pennsylvania, and then a lot of central Pennsylvania and east and northeastern Pennsylvania there as well. You can see that southeastern Pennsylvania, I certainly expect that sleet mixing issues. You can tell where it is, but just take a look at how thin those bands are. I mean, you're very close to being 15 to 20 inches. But also those areas on the very southern extent of the 15 to 20 inch regions are very, very close to the 6 to 10 inch region as well. So a little bit of a tick north, and all of a sudden those areas that are in 15 to 20 inches are getting like 6 inches instead. So this has huge potential to just move around and be very wrong for some select regions. And that goes for pretty much anybody's forecast, because if anybody is seeing what I'm seeing, they probably have very thin regions at the very southern end of this as well. I also want to draw your attention to the fact that New York City is included in this, but just barely. Long Island is not included in this, but you can tell, I forgot to mention this, Long Island is the northern and western half is included in that 10 to 15 inch region. The southern and eastern half is kind of in that 6 to 10 inch region. And then also Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and Cape Cod is also in that 6 to 10 inch region, whereas areas to your north are in the more 10 to 15 inch region. All right. Now for our final layer, this is our 20 to 30 inch region, or I guess you could call it our bullseye. And you can see that extends from basically north of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's southeast of State College. It's south of Williamsport. It's almost in Williamsport. And then we see areas like Bloomsburg are in it. And then areas like Scranton are also in it. That's going to extend pretty much eastward from that point in through areas of very far northwestern New Jersey there. It's a very select region, and not a lot of people live there. So it's going to extend into that region as well. That's kind of our bullseye at this point. Again, I want to real quickly remind you that tomorrow I will likely be updating this map. So there might be some small tweaks. There might be some major tweaks, but I know one thing. If you are included in this, you're probably going to want to check out that update just so we can give you guys the finalized, most up-to-date information. So just on screen here is like all the color tables included with the amounts for that color table, just in case it was a little confusing. Again, let us know what you think of the new color table as well. And then I also included kind of like a second graphic here that just shows you where I expect the sleet and rain issues to really take place. As you can see, that low pressure center is going to come very, very close to that region especially, and that's where we're going to see the sleet and rain mixing issues that leads to limited amounts of accumulation of snowfall, or at least suppressed amounts within that green kind of region I have set up right there. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, which state do you think will get the most snowfall with this snowstorm? And Tyler Crook said it will either be Pennsylvania or northern New Jersey, depending on where the heavy band sets up. And really, I agree certainly here. As you can tell by my snowfall map, I think Pennsylvania and through northern New Jersey is going to be that bullseye for sure. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Sebastian Tao, John Bembenek, Justin Quantrell, James Wade, Dovi Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, and Mark J. That is getting increasingly difficult to say all of those, but it's definitely a good, problem to have, I guess. I want to thank you all for supporting the channel. I love all of you guys. Thank you so, so much for being a part of the Patreon page. I hope you guys are enjoying all of the awesome content you receive there. I hope you guys stay safe during this storm. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.